Good morning. This is call number 2022-46871 in the interest of Tina, Violet, Cameron, and Caden Wesley. All parties and witnesses, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, please state your name and your relationship to the children.
Sarah Neesmith, and they are my kids.
Okay, and representing the state of Texas Attorney General's office.
Andrea Perard.
Court will note that the non-custodial parent is Vincent Wesley. Mr. Wesley was personally served on September 10th, 2022 at 7:34 p.m. He's not made an appearance or filed an answer. Is that correct, Ms. Perard?
That's correct, Your Honor.
We'll proceed by default.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state would call Ms. Neesmith. Ma'am, in regards to conservatorship, you have no objection to be named joint managing conservator with Mr. Wesley. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
With you being the person to designate the residents with a geographic restriction to Harris and contiguous counties, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in regards to possession and access, do you have no objection to the standard possession order being entered in this case? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as for child support and medical support, we've been able to confirm that Mr. Wesley works at Allied Waste Landfill Holdings and has worked there consistently since 2020, 2021, and 2022, and averages $3,906 per month. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has one additional child that he's court ordered to pay child support and medical support for. Is that right?
Yes.
And how is these 4 children covered by insurance?
They're on Medicaid at the moment.
We're going to order you to maintain the government medical assistance, and we'll be requesting that Mr. Wesley reimburse the state at $273 beginning January 1st of 2023. Is that your understanding and agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
And giving him credit for the cost of that health insurance and the additional child, your child support will be set at $970 beginning January 1st of 2023. Is that your understanding and agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not asking for any retroactive child support, medical support, or dental, is that right?
No, ma'am.
And there is no non-disclosure in this court order, meaning your address and information is disclosed. Is that your understanding and agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
That concludes the order, Your Honor. I pass my witness.
All right, the court will approve the order submitted. Thank you very much. Parties excused.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, you've signed the order. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Are you handling the Zamora case, Ms. Perard?
I am, Your Honor.
Mr. Zamora?
Yes, sir.
I can't see you.
Sorry.
All right, there we are. This is cause number 2022-49031 in the interest of Julian and Ileana Zamora. All parties and witnesses, please raise your right hands to be sworn. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, please state your name and your relationship to the children. Ma'am.
My name is Raquel Ruiz, and I am Raquel Ruiz, and I am the mother of the children.
All right, sir, your name and your relationship to the children.
Juan Zamora, and I'm the father.
And representing this Attorney General's office, state of Texas.
Andrea Perard.
Ms. Perard, we have an original petition and a suit affecting the parent-child relationship with an acknowledgement of paternity. What are we doing today? We're having a hearing?
We are, Your Honor.
Do we have any stipulations?
We do, Your Honor, if I may read those into the record.
All right.
Your Honor, the parties are in agreement to be named joint managing conservators, with the mother being the parent to designate the residence of the child with a geographic restriction to Harris County and contiguous counties. The parties are in agreement to a standard possession order. The mother will maintain private health and dental for the children through her employer. at a cost, the medical cost is $255 and the dental is $25, of which the father will reimburse beginning January 1st of 2023 in those amounts. And that concludes the agreement, Your Honor. The issues before the court is the current child support amount and the retroactive child support judgment.
All right, so far, is that your agreement, Ms. Ruiz?
Yes, sir.
So far, Mr. Zamora, is that your agreement?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're dealing with child support and retroactive child support. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Ms. Ruiz.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, in regards to current child support, you are asking for guideline support to be based on the wages that were provided by Mr. Zamora. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And from your knowledge, we've been able to confirm that Mr. Zamora is currently working and has been, and that his year to date at his employer from all of 2022 was $38,044.17, and that was for 47 weeks. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when we did some calculations, we were averaging $809.45 per week. And so then that comes out to be an average gross income per month of $3,507.61. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in addition to that, you're aware that Mr. Zamora was in the military and receives veteran benefits in the amount of, I believe, $1,529.95 tax-free. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so adding those two together, and then giving him credit for the cost of the health insurance that y'all have agreed for him to reimburse you at, which would be $280 total for child support and medical support, and giving him credit for the one additional child that he's court ordered to pay for, your current child support would be set at $948 per month for the two children. You have two children on this case, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your child support would be set at $948, and you're requesting that that begin January 1 of 2023. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is per our calculations based on guideline support pursuant to the Texas Family Code. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about retroactive support. You and Mr. Zamora were in a relationship together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the children were born in 2016 and 2018. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you and Mr. Zamora separate?
He left on December 26, 2019. He moved out.
So you are asking for retroactive support from basically all of January of 2020 up until now. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All of 2020, 2021, and then 2022. So a total of 36 months. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, during those time periods, Mr. Zamora was working at different places than what he is right now. So we had run some numbers as to those wages and what his child support would have been at those time periods. Does that sound about right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So what we were able to determine in 2020 was that his month year to date was a little bit over 69,000, and that made his monthly gross $5,756, which would make his child support $1,047 per month. Does that sound about right for 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so at 12 months, that would be for year 2020, $564. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 2021, however, different job made some less money, which we I mean, a little bit over 52,000 for that year. So his monthly gross came down to $4,386, which would make his child support $826 per month for that time period. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
At 12 months, that came up to be for 2021, $9,912. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this job that he's been working at consistently, we calculated, as I previously stated, that his child for 2022, that his child support would be $949 per month. At 12 months, that comes out to be a retro for 2022, $11,388. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if I add all these up, that comes out to a total retro judgment of $33,864 as of today, December 15th. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you're asking for a judgment of that amount and that the court order a payment each month towards that retroactive support. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about, there's been some discussion of, did he ever provide you in those 3 years direct support, cash app, checks, direct support for the children?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did he ever, so when y'all were living together and then he moved out, did he ever continue to pay for the rent, the mortgage, anything of that nature?
No.
Okay. Now there's been some allegations that he paid off your credit cards in lieu of this, what would have been child support. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Did he pay off, even though paying off credit cards is not deemed child support, did he pay off any of your credit cards from 2020 on?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Sometimes the payments weren't going through. He didn't have the money in the account.
Okay. So did he ever pay anything towards these credit cards?
He paid maybe $1,000 and that was it. Then I got cut off.
Okay. Was he ever using these credit cards as well?
While we were together, yes.
So some of these paying off of these cards that were expenses that were accrued while y'all were together.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
not just a zero balance as of when he left and then you
No.
accrued and he paid it off.
No.
Okay.
He used my credit cards for his personal use.
What kind of personal use?
His car was repoed 2 times while he was with me. So I didn't want him to be without a vehicle. So he went and used my credit card to get the vehicle out of repossession. He used it. He's a DJ as well. So he used my credit cards to buy his equipment. He's an AC guy. So he used my credit cards to buy the tools and everything he needed for his personal use. Because he does side jobs as well for AC and heating.
I pass this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Zamora, do you have any questions of Ms. Reese?
Yes, sir. I have my financial statements for the past 3
listen to me.
years.
Listen to me. Do you have any questions of Ms. Reese? I'm going to let you make a statement later. But do you have any questions of Ms. Reese?
Oh, no. No, sir.
All right. Call your next witness, Ms. Perard.
The state would call Mr. Zamora. Mr. Zamora, are you currently employed at Harcon Mechanical Contractors?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long have you been working for them?
Roughly 8 months or so, something like that. I mean, it feels like 8 months.
Okay, you haven't provided to us that you've worked there for the entire year of 2022.
No, I haven't worked the entire year here. No, I was with Premium HVAC before I came here. Still a
Okay.
union company, just a different company in the union.
Okay. So what specifically, you said 8 months? When do you think that you started?
Uh, mm, okay, 6 months. I started in June or July. Feels like 8 months though.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So then you provided us a paycheck stub from Hardcon Mechanical Contractors, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so your year to date, as of November 22nd of 2022, your gross wages were $38,044.17. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you'll have to bear with me because my calculations that I previously provided were based on you working there the whole year for 47 weeks. So if you worked there for 6 months, that would be 24 weeks. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's about $1,585 per week times 52 weeks divided by 12. That comes out to be an average gross of $6,869.05. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you are a veteran, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And you receive $1,529.95 from the VA, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. For disability, yes.
Okay. So actually, if I reran the numbers based on what you've just testified to regarding the number of weeks you've worked at this company, I'm getting a new child support amount in the amount of $1,504 per month. That's giving you credit for the cost of the health insurance and giving you credit for the additional child that resides with you. But even beyond the $1,504 that I'm now calculating, you were not in agreement to the $948 that was previously calculated. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that?
Because my job is seasonal. This is our slow time of the year. As you can see, I don't know if you have the checks that I provided yesterday, but last week I received 30 hours. This week I only made 24 hours, and I don't know because my week starts Wednesday and ends on Tuesday. So this week I missed half a day yesterday, and then today is half a day. So this is our slow season. So I can't afford to pay that much. If my paycheck's only $400, it's going to go straight all child support.
Okay, well, you understand, sir, that when we did these calculations, and I used the paycheck stub that was provided to the CSO yesterday, that we take an average. That's why we look at your year to date and divide it by the number of weeks that you've been working to get an accurate allocation of those high weeks and those low weeks. Do you understand that?
Okay.
And then also, if I'm to look at what we were able to confirm as your income from 2020 and 2021, you're in pretty much in that same consistent range of 69,000 in 2020, 2,000 in 2021, and what would be let's see, the around that same amount for 2022, correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in regards to the retroactive support, you heard me read out your income for 2020 and 2021. Do you have any reasons to believe that those numbers are incorrect?
No, the numbers are correct, but
Okay.
I have bank statements showing that I was paying her credit cards, and I paid off
Okay, sir, I will get to that. I'm
Okay, sorry.
one step at a time. And so would you agree that you left the household in December of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you heard Ms. Ruiz testify that you've not provided any financial support to the children since you left the home. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide any financial support? And we'll talk about the credit cards in a minute, but cash payments directly to her, direct deposits, cash for child support purposes directly to her since you separated?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about the credit cards. So you believe that you don't owe any retro support. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And your belief is that because you've paid off some of these credit cards of Miss Ruiz's, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How much would you say that you have paid off of these credit cards of hers?
In 3 years, over 15,000.
15,000.
And I have a bank. Yeah, because I was paying 5 credit cards throughout the 3 years. 2 of them I was able to pay off within the first year and a half, and then I continued to pay the other 3, as well as her phone, her mom's phone, and her dad's phone for the past 3 years, until June of this year was the last time I made any kind of payment through her credit cards and cut off their phones.
Okay. So regarding the credit card situation, when you left, were there balances on these credit cards?
Yes, ma'am, but she had already charged them up before I even moved in with her. She had dogs, and every time the dogs got sick, she took them to the vet. So she can say whatever she wants, but those credit cards were already almost maxed out, and that was my way of helping her get out of debt, was continue to help her pay the credit cards.
Okay. Did you ever use the credit cards for your own personal use?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, but not as much as she's saying I did.
Okay.
What were the balances on the credit cards when you left?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
No idea?
I never had access to look at the actual bill. Everything was coming out of my bank account automatically. So I never questioned how much is owed or anything like that. I was just.
So she could have owed $500,000 and you wouldn't have questioned it. You would have just paid it, right?
Yes, sir.
Pretty generous. Okay.
Yeah, dumb. Thank you.
All right.
Sir, since you've mentioned paying the phone bills for Miss Ruiz and I think both of her parents, do you know how much that was per month?
Totaling for everything, it was about $300 a month for everything, because Miss Ruiz, I had bought her a watch as well, for her phone.
Okay. And how many months would you say that you paid this?
From the time I left to June of this year.
So about 30 months or so?
Yeah, 24 and then up to June, so 32. Is that 32 months?
Okay. But all in all, you understand that all of these payments that you've alleged that you made are not for the support of the children, correct?
I mean, it wasn't direct support, but it was helping her with her financial needs. So I feel like, yes, I did contribute to the children as well.
I pass this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Reese, do you have any questions of Mr. Zamora?
No, sir.
Well, I'm going to ask you how much was owed on the credit cards when he left?
So on one, it's 9,000 and something. Another one is 6,000, and he only paid two, Your Honor, not five. Or that was his way. He never paid my mortgage. I live in a house. He didn't pay any bills. So when he moved in with me, the credit cards were like him helping me pay my mortgage and the utilities. I paid the utilities. I basically paid everything.
You
He
didn't
started going to school.
you didn't pay the credit cards.
I didn't pay those two
Okay.
because he
And
offered those two.
I'm sorry.
He
You didn't
offered
pay
to pay those two credit cards.
about $15,000 worth.
No, sir. He was paying the minimum due on each credit card. The minimum is $250 a month.
Regardless, he took on that debt.
Right.
And are those credit cards in your name?
Yes, sir.
They're still in your name?
Yes, sir.
Is money still owed Mr. Zamora on those credit cards?
I'm sure, Your Honor. I don't have, like I said, I don't have access to the statements because they go to her.
Do you know how much is owed, Ms. Reese, on those credit cards?
Yes. One now is down to 7,713, and the other one is down to 7,985.
So 14,000 is owed
Yes,
on
sir.
those.
Yes, sir.
And they're still in your name.
Yes, sir. And I pay them. I pay everything.
You pay those credit cards?
Yes, sir. Because I've been paying everything for a long time. He hasn't given me anything.
He hasn't. Okay. Have you made charges on those credit cards?
No, sir. Those are closed accounts. I'm just paying them off now.
Ms. Farrar, do you have any of, did Mr. Zamora produce any of those statements, or did Ms. Reese produce any of those statements?
No,
So
Your
that you
Honor.
could discern who paid what and how much was paid and how much was charged?
No, Your Honor.
We need to get those statements. Otherwise, we don't have any idea what the. I'm not gonna, I don't know that I can make any kind of determination there. All right, court is going to enter some temporary orders. Father's order to pay temporary child support in the amount of $1,200 a month beginning January 1st, 2023. All other stipulations are approved and ordered to be included in the temporary orders. Case is transferred to the 308th District Court. DRO mediation is ordered, and parties are ordered to produce all documentation of payments made and bills incurred on all credit cards in the mother's name for years 2020, 2021, 2022 at the mediation hearing. Final hearing is to be determined at mediation. Did you get all that, Ms. Berard?
I did, Your Honor.
All right. Give me some temporary orders.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be placed in a breakout room so that I can draft that order for them and send and go over it with them?
Yes, Maria will do that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Good morning. This is cause number 2012-03532 in the interest of Shirley Enriquez. Please raise your right hand to be sworn and unmute yourself, ma'am. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, please state your name and your relationship to the child.
Bianca Almaguer, and I'm her mother.
All right, representing the mother? Is there an
I am
attorney?
Adrian Almaguer, representing the custodial parent.
All right, and representing the state of Texas Attorney General's office?
Good morning, Your Honor. Kavita Sharma.
Court will note that the non-custodial parent Miguel Enriquez was personally served on September 10th, 2021 at 3:08 p.m. 7122 Keller Street in Houston, Harris County, Texas. And he has not filed an answer or made an appearance. Is that correct, Ms. Sharma?
Correct, Your Honor.
We'll proceed by default.
Yes, Judge, and I would also like to ask the court to take judicial notice of the prior agreed order in the suit affecting parent-child relationship. Your Honor, this was signed April 25th in 2012.
All right, the court will take notice of that.
Yes, Judge, and I'd like to also ask the court to admit into evidence the financial activity report, which has been marked as State's Exhibit Number 1.
Any objection, Mr. Almaguer?
No, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 1 is admitted.
And Your Honor, we did have a suit for modification in this case. The non-custodial parent is incarcerated and the state is requesting a confirmation of the child support judgment in the amount of $64,354.77, with nothing to be paid out due to Mr. Enriquez's incarceration, and a medical support judgment as of November 30th, 2022 in the amount of $20,735.36. Your Honor, we're also asking to modify child support, current child support to zero and medical support to zero. The child is covered under a government-sponsored health insurance. And that is the conclusion of what the state requests. And Mr. Almaguer is not in agreement to this order, Your Honor, and I'll let him talk to you about why he's not in agreement.
Well,
Your Honor,
are you putting on any testimony, Ms. Sharma? Or am I to take it that that's what you want and that's the end of it?
Judge, I don't have any other testimony at this time.
You haven't put on any testimony.
Yes, Judge, I will. I'd like to call Miss Adrian Almaguer. I'm sorry,
All right.
Bianca Adrian Almaguer, the mother.
All right.
Miss Almaguer, you are the mother of the child and Shirley, is that correct?
Yes.
And you signed the order in April 25th, 2012, setting child support at $600 a month to begin May 1, 2012.
Yes.
And you also signed the order stating that medical support should be $175 a month beginning May 1st,
Yes.
2012.
Yes.
And since that time, Mr. Enriquez is not current on his child support obligation. Is that correct?
Yes.
And would you agree that he owes $64,354.77 as of November 30th of 2022?
Yes.
And would you also agree that he owes a medical support judgment as of November 30th in the amount of $20,735.36?
Yes.
And would you agree that he owes nothing in child support judgment?
That he does what? I'm sorry.
That he owes nothing in dental support judgment, sorry.
Yes.
And is Mr. Enriquez currently incarcerated in Harris County Jail?
Yes.
And do you expect him to be released within the next 90 days?
Yes.
And why do you expect him to be released in the next 90 days?
That's what his wife has told my daughter.
But do you have any documentation from the court or parole that mentions or says for certain that Mr. Enriquez will be released from jail?
No, I know his parole date is at the end of January.
So is he currently on parole?
Yes.
For
Would you?
something else, man? For some other charge?
Yes,
Okay, but he's in jail for some charge that has anything to do with his parole. Is that correct?
yes.
So do you know if his parole is going to be revoked?
I, I don't know.
Okay.
It's my understanding, according to what the wife has said, is that once the parole date is up, he's only in jail because of the parole date. But once the parole is done, he'll be able to be released.
Okay, so he's in jail for violation of his parole. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you know.
I
If
don't
you
know.
know.
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't know exactly
that's
why
fine.
he's in jail.
I don't know. I really wouldn't be surprised if you don't know. So,
Mhm.
okay. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Sharma. Sorry.
Thank you. And Ms. Almaguer, just because a parole expires on a certain date, that doesn't necessarily mean the person is going to be released. Is that true?
I don't know.
Okay. And do you agree with the state taking a judgment against Mr. Enriquez in the amount of $64,354.77 for child support?
Yes.
And do you agree that the state should take a medical support judgment in the amount of $20,735.36 as of November 30th of 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
no,
do you agree that the
Wait a minute.
agree that the payout should be set at zero, considering that Mr. Enriquez is currently incarcerated in the Harris County Jail?
Okay. Does the state have any ability to find out when he's going to be released?
Judge, no. The party who is incarcerated has no projected release date, and this Board of Pardons and Paroles does not release that information to the public. Even if, and this is based on what I know from practicing criminal law, that when a party has a parole hold, there's not necessarily a release date, because with a blue warrant, the clock stops. And even if there was a release date that was set previously to incarceration, that doesn't necessarily ring true because the clock stops. So there is no release date in the future.
All right. All right. Mr. Almaguer, do you have any questions of Ms. Almaguer?
yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Almaguer, did you understand the Assistant Attorney General's question when she asked you if you agree that the Attorney General should get a judgment against Mr. Enriquez?
I'm confused about that. Like, I know that he owes me the money, but my assumption of that was that they're just confirming what he owes to be paid to me.
Okay.
Is that not correct?
So are you asking the court to order judgment in favor of you rather than judgment in favor of the Attorney General, because you don't owe the Attorney General any money?
Right. Yes.
Okay, and you're also asking for the court to order that the judgment be made payable in favor of you with regards to the confirmation of the medical support judgment.
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Sharma?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Almaguer, do you understand that the state of Texas has filed this modification for child support on your behalf?
Yes.
And do you understand that the state of Texas provides services and collects over $4 billion in child support and medical support payments for its customers and residents?
I don't know. You guys have not collected my child support.
Okay, but do you also understand that the language as drafted, because this is the state of Texas's modification, the Attorney General will collect the money and have the judgment in favor of the Attorney General?
I don't understand all of that. I mean, all I know is that he owes me child support and I haven't received the child support that he owes. And that's where we're at. You guys have told me that y'all are going to be collecting. I have not received that. And that's why I thought we were here today. So I'm not understanding all that verbiage. All I know is that he owes me child support that I have not received.
And Judge, Ms. Almaguer is non-responsive, and I pass this witness.
Ms. Almaguer, are you prepared? Are you ready, willing, and able to begin collection enforcement on a judgment, on this judgment, should the court rule that the judgment should be payable to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that the Attorney General does not represent you? The Attorney General represents the child in this matter.
Yes.
Okay, that's why you are named a respondent. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. And to date, Mr. Enriquez owes you close to $86,000. And he has owed you the child support for quite a number of years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And yet the Attorney General has not done anything about it up until this motion for modification was filed.
Yes.
Okay. And so once again, are you asking the court to order that the confirmation of arrearage and the judgment be made payable to you?
Yes.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Sharma, any
No
questions?
further questions, Your Honor.
Have you had an opportunity to discuss this with Mr. Almaguer? What the regular normal procedure is in these cases? Ms. Sharma?
Yes, Your Honor, and Mr. Almaguer still doesn't agree. I believe he is wanting to file an enforcement action and put a lien on some property or bank accounts for the non-custodial parent, but the state of Texas is still going to draft the order the way we do and request that the judgment be granted in favor of the Attorney General on behalf of our customers.
All right, anything further, Mr. Almaguer?
Well, no, Your Honor, other than there is no guarantee that if the judgment is ordered payable to the Attorney General, that the Attorney General will make any real efforts to collect this money. And in this case, my client and I are prepared to begin our own private collection efforts against Mr. Enriquez with regards to a judgment. And that is why we're asking the court to order that the judgment be made in favor of Bianca Adrian Almaguer. Simply, Ms. Sharma has spoken with me regarding this and says, this is the way we always do it. Well, just because that's the way they always do it doesn't mean that that's the way it should be done today. And I understand there's plenty of people out there that the Attorney General represents that don't have the means to be able to initiate their private collection efforts. And so that's why the Attorney General takes judgments in favor of the Attorney General. But in this case, it's the opposite. We are prepared to begin our own private collection efforts against Mr. Enriquez.
So, Mr. Almaguer, you didn't file a motion for contempt against Mr. Enriquez, although you say the Attorney General has not done anything, but you haven't done anything, nor has Ms. Almaguer done anything to file a contempt action against Mr. Enriquez, correct? You had to wait until the Attorney General filed something. Is that correct?
Well, it almost happened simultaneously. Ms. Almaguer was about ready to file her own motion for confirmation of arrearage when she received the service of this motion for modification and confirmation from the Attorney General. And at that time, it was my decision to not interfere with the Attorney General's efforts and continue with this.
Yeah,
lawsuit.
well, I'm going to approve the order submitted.